Lisa. Woo! BJ, you scared the crap out of me. I'm trying to talk to the people.
What's up, fans?
Boy, that's been edited out.
Fast shooter made, so you back. I'm a savage. Yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet. Yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty. Yeah. Hacking, stupid. What's happening? Bitch, what was happening? Bitch, I'm a savage.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Ayanna's kitchen. Y'all, I know it has been a little old minute since your girl has been here, but a lot has been going on in my life. You know, I was supposed to come back in July. Me and my kids got COVID. Was supposed to come back in August. I forgot what happened, to be honest. September, my birthday month, y'all. Your girl turned 33. Turned up for Virgo season. Always and forever, all year round. Let me tell you about it. Each week I said, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. But literally things just kept popping up. You know how it is, life happens. But at one point I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just have to just push through and just keep on going. But y'all, let me tell you, I went on a trip to Jamaica. Me and my best friend, we went. When I tell you, we had such an amazing time. And the food, my God, the food was amazing. I've never really just ate Jamaican food like that. I hate to say it, but now I'm literally addicted. So hopefully my next video, I can talk about, you know, some of my time in Jamaica, bring you all a story from Jamaica with an authentic dish from Jamaica. But let's go ahead and hop into today's video. We waited long enough. Now, again, if you have not already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel and like and share. It would definitely help me out a lot. So today's story is just one of those situations that it makes you think again about trusting people. And I'm not gonna lie, I have personally done something like this to where, you know, you be on Facebook Marketplace and you'll have someone drop something off at your house, or you'll go pick something up at their house. Child, after today's story, you're probably thinking twice about doing something like that. Today's story is gonna be about Bobby Joe Spinach and Lisa Montgomery. And I'm gonna be cooking a chicken and sausage Cajun pasta, and I hope you guys like it. Bobby Joe was a 23-year-old woman born and raised in Skidmore, Missouri. And I'm gonna let you know right now, I will be using boneless, skinless chicken thighs versus breast because I don't really like white meat. It's dry. She was born December 4th, 1981. Bobby Joe was described to be a loving and caring, outgoing young lady. She was very friendly to everyone. She was really close with her family, especially with her mother. I guess her and her mom had that type of relationship to where they spoke quite frequently and they checked in with one another quite frequently as well. That's so sweet. Bobby Joe was actually married to her high school sweetheart. His name was Zebulon James Spinach, Zeb for short. Y'all forgot to cut the fat, because we know thick thighs stay wide, and that applies to chicken as well. Ugh. Now the couple were expecting their first baby together, so they were super excited about that. Now, they both did have full-time jobs, but as well as them having full-time jobs, they did have a side business. Her and her husband ran a in-home dog breeding company called Happy Haven Farms. The two were happily married. They would visit little dog shows and conventions on the weekends. Now, on one of their trips to one of their dog shows in April 2006, Bobby Joe had met a woman named Lisa Montgomery. Lisa Montgomery was also a fellow dog lover herself. Bobby Joe and Lisa actually had, well, not to say met, but connected or linked, as we would say. Lisa and Bobby Joe were part of the same online group called Ratter Chatter. This was a group or forum that was dedicated to people who love dogs, rat terriers in particularly, and that's how the two women connected. Bobby Joe was an active member of this group. She had multiple posts and was very interactive and engaging with other people on this post. Now, around this time, Bobby Joe was getting super excited about her pregnancy. She would post in the forum about her being pregnant and how excited she was because, you know, it's her first baby. And Lisa would also at this time announce that she was pregnant as well. Bobby Joe took it a step further with also posting on her business page about her pregnancy and how excited she was about her pregnancy as well. So with that in common, the two women connected and they started talking more frequently. They would exchange emails back and forth, just comparing pregnancies and talking about their excitement in regards to their pregnancies. On December 15th, Bobby Joe was contacted by a fellow member in the group Ratter Chatter. That is so funny. Ratter Chatter, Ratter Chatter. Sounds like a 90s Nickelodeon show. Like it could be like a cool little talk show. Yo, no, radio show. Yo, this is your girl Ayanna. You're listening to 97.9. This is Ratter Chatter. Something like that. My first dream, well, not my first. One of my dreams was to be on the radio. Could y'all see me on the radio? Well, hear me on the radio? I feel like I'd have been great. But whatever. Haters gonna hate. Anyways, on December 15th, Bobby Joe was contacted by a woman named Darlene. Darlene showed interest and stated that she was interested in buying one of Bobby Joe's puppies to her recent litters, rat terrier. So the two women, they connected and chatted back and forth in regards to the puppy, and they set to meet up the next day so Darlene could purchase the puppy from Bobby Joe. Now, on the morning of December 16, 2006, Bobby Joe let her husband and her mother know that she had a prospective customer coming by in order to purchase one of the puppies. So the day went by and Bobby Joe's mom hadn't heard from Bobby Joe, so she just, decided to contact her just to see kind of what was going on. And if you haven't been pregnant, the way it is that if somebody can't get a hold of you after calling you 2-3 times, they send a cowbell. My mama did that to me once. Well, and my sister. Mind you, I got 2 kids. They both 11 months apart. Exactly, I know, ghetto. However, I was with my daughter. I was pregnant with my son, and I was taking a good old little nap. And I guess I went to sleep too fast for my sister's liking, and I was knocked out dead to the bed. And she kept calling me, and I guess I didn't hear it. My mom kept calling me, I didn't hear it. They ended up sending over one of our close family friends to the house, banging on the door, and I'm, when you get started out of your sleep, how you literally, your adrenaline's pumping and hurts your heart, I jerk out of my sleep, and I'm like, the hell's going on? I go to the door, I'm like, what's up? She might answer your phone. Your mom and your sister's been trying to get in contact with you. Well, I'm asleep, and actually at the time as well, I was sick. But folks, when you're pregnant, baby, it's like the main line, you better answer. But anyways, Bobby Joe's mom, actually her name was Becky Harper, she contacted Bobby Joe a few times. Bobby Joe wasn't answering the phone, so I guess that mother's intuition kicked in, and she just felt in her spirit that something was not right. So she immediately went over to the home in order to check on her daughter. Now, once she got there, she was met by a gruesome discovery scene. She found her 23-year-old, 8-month pregnant daughter laying in a pool of her blood. She immediately called 911. And on the phone call with 911, she was frantic. She stated that it looked as if her daughter's stomach had exploded, which I can only imagine how that was. And when paramedics got there, they did try to revive Bobby Joe, but unfortunately they were unsuccessful in doing so, and Bobby Joe was pronounced dead. She had been dead about an hour by the time her mother had arrived at the home. Now on the scene, paramedics were able to take a closer look, and they realized that there was a discarded umbilical cord or a part to the umbilical cord. They could tell that there was something going on involving a baby. So at that point, they knew that they had to immediately get an Amber Alert sent out in regards to the baby. However, initially, the Amber Alert was denied. It was denied due to the fact that this had never been done. They have never done an Amber Alert in regards to an unborn child, because really when you think about it, I know y'all be getting those Amber Alerts on your phone. It gives a full-blown description of what the child looks like and just the features of the child, but they didn't know any of this. So it was denied. However, Congressman Sam Graves intervened, and once he intervened, he was able to get the Amber Alert pushed through, and it was sent out throughout the whole county and neighboring cities. Now, a neighbor had witnessed and let police know that on the morning of the murder, they had seen a red Corolla sitting outside the home, and they never had seen it before. So the police, they kind of just like, you know, put that in their back pocket. And after speaking with Bobby Joe's mother and her husband, they did find out that Bobby Joe was set to meet up with a potential buyer in regards to the puppies. So once they knew that, they went to her computer and started doing some investigating. They were able to go through and get some IP information, and they actually tracked it back to Lisa Montgomery. So with that in mind, they was like, okay, well, let's go out here and speak to Lisa and see what does she know in regards to the person that Bobby Joe is supposed to be meeting up with. Because again, Bobby Joe and Lisa were in the same Ratter Chatter group online. So they figured that, hey, you may have known something about that meetup. So with the intentions of questioning Lisa Montgomery as a witness, they went out to her home. But as soon as they got there, what do you think they saw? They saw a red Toyota Corolla sitting in Lisa's driveway. I'm not sure if it was one of those things, kind of like whenever you buy a new car, you start seeing it everywhere on the street. If it was one of those situations to where it was kind of like, okay, well, we know that the neighbor had said that they saw a red Toyota Corolla, so now they're seeing it everywhere. You get what I'm saying? But the police were a bit suspicious, as they should have been, and they kind of just, you know, put that in their back pocket as far as, you know, this is odd. So whenever they went into the home, they did find Lisa. They found Lisa sitting on the couch with a newborn baby in her hands. Suspicious much? So boom. The police got to Lisa's house and they found Lisa on the couch with a newborn baby. We already got this car outside that a neighbor had said was the same type of car that was at Bobby Joe's house when she got murdered. And there's a missing baby out of Bobby Joe's womb. And you're sitting here with a baby on your lap, just big chilling. So at this point, the flags are flagging. It's red all over the place. So the police just simply asked her, like, say, whose baby is that? Bobby Joe's, not Bobby Joe, what's her name? Lisa said, what's my baby? So police take a closer look at the baby and they realize that there is a cut over the baby's eye. So Lisa's husband was home at this point and they asked him, like, what's going on here? And he just kind of told them what his wife told him. He said that his wife was in fact pregnant, but she had contacted him saying that she had given birth and that he needed to come pick her up over here at the Long John Silver. Now, they're kind of looking at him like, and you believe this? And he kind of looking like, I mean, this is my wife. Why would I not believe it? So Lisa, she was like, well, let me holler at y'all. I need to talk to y'all privately on my own. So they did that. So Lisa then told the police, she was like, okay, yeah, I lied to my husband. Yes, this is my baby, but I didn't have the baby like I said I did. I told him that I had it at a birthing center, but really I had the baby here at the house, and I cut the umbilical cord, did all of that, and then I threw it into the river. The police at this point, they were not buying it. They just knew that something wasn't right. So they pressed Lisa a little bit longer, and after an hour, baby, Lisa's story folded like a lawn chair, and she gave in. Her whole story fell apart, and she finally confessed that yes, this in fact was Bobby Joe's baby, and she in fact did cut this baby out of Bobby Joe and murder her. She was obviously at that point placed under arrest and taken in, and the baby was taken to the local hospital. The baby was given a DNA test, and the DNA test did prove that this baby did belong to Bobby Joe and Zeb, and the baby was returned to the father, and he did go ahead and rename her Victoria Joe Spinach. Now, everyone was just kind of trying to figure out what exactly happened. Why did this happen? Who was this woman that just randomly attacked Bobby Joe? So let me give y'all the details of Lisa Montgomery's life. Now, I should have done this at the beginning, but trigger warning. This story talks about a lot of stuff. It's going to be talking about rape, abuse, every form of abuse, everything that you could think of when it comes to rape. It's just, if you can't take that, abuse against a child, rape against a child, then it's about to get real right now. But Lisa Montgomery, she had other names, but to be honest, she had too many. I'm not going to look them up. But Lisa Montgomery was born February 27th, 1968. She was born to her mother, Judy. Couldn't find her last name, or I didn't look because she ain't shit. And her father, he just wasn't around, so he can get on. He ain't shit neither of us as well. But anyways, her mom was addicted to alcohol, so she was a raging alcoholic, and she drank her whole pregnancy. There's side effects to drinking during your pregnancy, especially the type of drinking that Miss Judy ass was doing. She drank her whole pregnancy, causing Lisa to be born with permanent brain damage. So just off top, she wasn't born with a full deck of cards. Her dad was in the military. Not much was given about him, honestly. I just assumed he wasn't around to witness the shenanigans and the foolery, and if he was, Lisa and all of her brothers and sisters had a childhood that was filled with abuse. They were verbally, emotionally, physically, and even sexually abused their whole childhood. Judy, the mom, she would beat her kids for any and everything. Literally, she punished her kids by putting them in cold showers. She would beat them with belts, hangers, rods, whatever she could get her hands on. On one occasion, she beat and killed the family dog in front of Lisa and her siblings in order to punish them for something. She brutally smashed and beat in the dog's head until it died. I could just imagine as a kid how traumatic that could have been just right there, off top alone. Lisa had an older half-sister named Ayanna. One of Lisa's first time being a victim and witnessing any type of abuse was at the young age of 3 years old, whenever her and her sister were laying in the bed. And at this point, her sister was 8 years old, and her sister was being raped by a male babysitter. Her sister then was removed by CPS at that time, but they left Lisa in the home. Now, why they did that, I'm not too sure, but honestly, all of the adults in this whole case that touched Lisa's life honestly failed that girl. But they left Lisa in the home. Again, the home was filled with extreme violence. Not only did she have a drunk for a mother, but her stepdad was also a drunk. And now, And when he drank, he got nasty abusive towards Lisa and her mom, beating both of them on several occasions. Now, sadly, at the age of 11, beating Lisa was not enough, and the stepdad at that point escalated to sexually abusing Lisa. Now, not only did Lisa's stepdad sexually abuse her, he allowed his friends to also abuse her as well. Now, at some point, the family, they decided to move, and they moved to Oklahoma. And at this point in her life, being raped by her stepdad was just a part of everyday life for Lisa, unfortunately. It was so much so a part of her everyday life that his nasty tail built a secluded room off on the side of the home, because they were living in a trailer. So he built it like off on the side of the home, in the woods, deep in the woods, just so that he could have access to her, to be able to abuse her and for no one to know. And so no matter if she screamed or made a noise, there was nothing she can do and no one would come to her defense. Now, around this time, Lisa also started drinking alcohol because her wonderful stepdad would store his alcohol in the room. And obviously, in order for her to be able to cope with what was happening with her, she went to alcohol in order to do so. He would go into Lisa's room at all times of the night and day just to be able to rape her. He would just do horrible things to her. He would rape Lisa, he would sodomize Lisa. He would even let his friends come over and gang rape her. And if that wasn't bad enough, in order to humiliate her and degrade her further, when they were finished, they would frequently urinate on Lisa. Now, if Lisa ever refused to basically just take what he was doing to her, he would threaten. If Lisa ever refused, he would threaten to rape her younger sister, or he would just beat her so bad to make her change her mind, or even worse, he would pound her head into the concrete ground. I could only imagine how it was for Lisa just growing up like that. And this went on for years. Now, at the age of 14, during one of her attacks, her mother actually walked in on her stepdad raping her. And her mother instantly got pissed off and enraged. She was so angry on what she had just walked in on. She went out of the room and she actually went and got her gun. She got her gun and she brought it back and she pointed it at Lisa. Woo! BJ, you scared the crap out of me. I'm trying to talk to the people.
What's up, fans?
Boy, that's been edited out. She pointed the gun at Lisa. She accused Lisa of seducing her husband, and she was just so pissed off, just asking, how could she do this? And just was literally enraged. And it's like, are you crazy? What type of mom, she wasn't a mom. What type of person, like, I literally have no freaking words. Now, shortly after this, I guess Lisa's mom just said, I've been a terrible mother up to this point. I might as well keep going. And she actually started prostituting her own daughter out and trafficking her own daughter. If she needed any type of handyman work on the house, she wasn't able to pay, she would let them have their way with her daughter, and that was her form of payment. Like, disgusting. Lisa, her upbringing was just terrible, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And I just think, when you think about what she did and the way she was raised, not that it makes sense, but I couldn't imagine someone who went through this growing up to be a normal person, if that makes sense. But I'm not sure if Lisa's mom had some type of resentment or what the case was, but she would make Lisa stand on the porch butt naked for drunken bystanders to drive by and just watch her and look at her. She would make Lisa beat her younger sisters with a board until they bled. Like, she would literally sit there and make her just keep going until her sister started to bleed. With the abuse and her home life situation escalating, Lisa quickly slipped into a depression. People around her would report that she would sometimes dissociate. They would just kind of notice that she would just slip off to her own little world, but they never just thought anything about it. But it makes sense, like, in order to cope with what she was going through, she would have to just like picture herself somewhere else, which is a common thing for people in abusive situations like this. They are known to dissociate. That's part of a defense mechanism for the brain. Now, teachers in school would notice that she would come to school unkept and dirty and stanky, and they did suspect that there was some form of abuse happening, but they didn't do anything. She did confide in one of her cousins. Have to add some more of this. It's getting a little thicky thick. She did confide in one of her cousins about the abuse that was happening and about how her stepdad would abuse her and his friends as well. But I guess he was a kid himself. I don't know how old he was, but he didn't really know what to do with this information, so he did nothing. She actually went to a doctor while she was in Oklahoma, and the doctor could clearly see and tell that there were signs of abuse and rape, but the doctor didn't report it either, which I thought legally you were required to do so, but he just kept it pushing. And there was only one time that CPS got involved with Lisa in regards to Lisa herself. But even with that situation, CPS contacted Lisa's mother ahead of time to let her know that they were going to be coming to her. So they gave them all the time to clean up what they need to clean up and threaten Lisa to say, girl, you better not say shit or you're gonna get beat down or whatever. So obviously there was no help with that. Now, throughout her childhood, Lisa's mom had a string of men coming in and out of her life, and eventually she divorced Eventually she divorced her husband, which was Lisa's stepdad that had been abusing her for all of these years. Lisa actually had to testify in court in regards to the abuse. Now, when the judge found out that Lisa had been being abused and that the mother hadn't done anything or reported anything, he lit her up. He dug into her tail, y'all. He just talked about how he couldn't believe it, how she was a horrible mother and this, that, third, blase, blase, blase. But in the end, he did nothing himself. He never reported himself. And again, I'm thinking, how is this possible? Literally, you're in a court of law, you're in a courtroom, this is on record. How legally was this not reported? How did this slip through the cracks? I was in shock. Now, in 1984, at the age of 18, with pressure from her mother and plus her wanting to escape the grasp of her mother and the abuse that she received at home, Lisa actually got married to her stepbrother. Her stepbrother's name was Carl Bowman, and unfortunately, this escape that she was looking for was quite opposite of that. What is the expression? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And Carl ain't shit just like his daddy, and he did the exact same thing that his dad was doing. He abused Lisa, and he raped Lisa, and he beat Lisa, and it was just like the abuse just continued. Now, being a sicko must have ran in the family, because to add matters worse, Carl, he would record his attacks. So he would record himself raping and beating Lisa, and his friends and everybody else around just doing the same thing. One of Lisa's brothers had actually found one of the recordings of Lisa being attacked, and he said it was very violent, obviously, and it borderline something that you think you would see in like a horror film. That's how bad it was. He didn't know how to approach Lisa or talk to her about this, or how to confront the husband about this. So inevitably, he kind of just didn't say anything. He just sat on it and never said anything to Lisa about what he had seen. Now, shortly after being married, Lisa and her little dusty husband, they started having babies, and Lisa was popping them suckers out, honey. Like, they quickly had 4 kids. Carl, Lisa's husband at the time, he said that Lisa loved being pregnant. He said that she got a lot of attention and she just loved how people treated her when she was pregnant, which I can definitely understand, because you do get the attention. You know, you just be, everyone wants to make sure that you're good. So I can see that, you know. I would look forward to the attention that you get. You just naturally get attention. If you don't get said attention, it's kind of like, y'all do know I'm pregnant, right? But I digress. But after having her 4th child, 2 months premature, her doctor was concerned that Lisa wouldn't be able to carry any more children to term. So her doctor actually suggested that she got her tubes tied. Lisa obviously wasn't having this. This is someone who loves being pregnant. She loves the attention, and she wanted to have more kids, but her husband and her mom said, no, you about to get them tubes tied. And they basically pressured her and bullied her into getting her tubes tied. Now, I don't know if he beat her or whatever the case may have been, but Lisa ended up changing her mind and she got the procedure done, but she instantly regretted it. But Lisa got her tubes tied, clipped, burnt, all of that. There was no way she was having any more babies. Carl files for divorce in 1993 from Lisa. He claimed that he was sick of her ass. Apparently, Miss Lisa was over here saying that she was pregnant multiple times. And Carl was kind of like, girl, I was there. There's no possible way that you'd be pregnant. And I guess he also just wasn't in love with her. I'm not sure, but he filed for divorce and the 2 divorced. But in 1994, I guess they rekindled the situation and they got remarried, but it didn't last long. And by 1998, the 2 were divorced, and this time it was final because apparently Lisa found her a new man, and she moved her and the kids in with the new man. And his name was Kevin Montgomery. Now, Kevin Montgomery, he was a father of 3 already himself. And in 2000, the 2 were married. Now, during the course of their marriage, Lisa claimed to have been pregnant a few times, not knowing that she had previously gotten her tubes tied. Kevin obviously was excited about it, but obviously Lisa was not able to produce any child. So in order to get rid of these fake pregnancy babies, Lisa would come up with all types of stories. So for the first one, she claimed she had gotten an abortion. For the second one, she said that she had a miscarriage because something was wrong with the baby, but she donated the baby's body to science. Times that Lisa would say that she was pregnant, she would actually dress in maternity clothing in order to give into it. She would suck in deep breaths of air in order to make her stomach protrude out. She would tell people to come in, feel her stomach so that they could feel the baby moving whenever she had like gas or whatnot, which is crazy. They said that she was a pro at pretending to be pregnant. She even went as far as going around the town telling people she was pregnant and having baby showers and all. Now, obviously, people were starting to get a little suspicious, especially those who actually knew that she already had her tubes tied. Kevin was a very naive person. He was very gullible. I don't know if he had like a lower IQ or what the case was in regards to that, but he was just very easy to manipulate into fools. So that's how Lisa was able to get away with lying so many times about being pregnant. However, her first ain't shit ass husband, y'all remember him? What was his name? Carl, her stepbrother. He knew that Lisa was lying. Obviously, he forced her to get that, you know, tubal ligation. I don't know what it's called. He forced her to get the tubes tied. So he knew that she was lying, and he was actually trying to get custody of the kids. So he said that he was going to take her in court and make her testify in open court about her pregnancies and use that to prove that she was unstable and a liar in order to get custody of the kids. Obviously, Miss Lisa, she knew she wasn't pregnant. Well, she knew she wasn't pregnant, but did she know she wasn't pregnant? That makes sense. But she knew she wasn't pregnant. Court was set for January 25th. So Lisa had to act fast to get her plan together in order to figure out what she was about to do in order to produce some baby up in here. Carl had her back against the wall. However, Lisa shortly came up with a plan, and in November, a month before the actual crime happened, she called up her ex-husband, allegedly, and told him that she was going to prove that she wasn't lying and that she was actually pregnant. Lisa at this point started watching several videos about C-sections and how to perform C-sections, and just, I guess, taking notes on how to carry it out. She watched enough to where she finally felt like she was confident in her ability to perform a C-section successfully. Lisa then contacted Bobby Joe with a fake alias, Darlene, and set up to meet her. The day that she had contacted Bobby Joe pretending to be Darlene, Bobby Joe had actually given her address, and Lisa did a test run and drove the 130 miles to Bobby Joe's house and drove back just to make sure that she could do it in enough time for I guess when her husband was at work. Now, the day of the murder, Lisa drove to Bobby Joe's home. Bobby Joe let her in. There was no signs of forced entry at all into the home. And the attack actually happened pretty fast. When Bobby Joe turned around in order to bend down to open the cage to get one of the puppies out, that's when Lisa attacked. She pulled out a rope and wrapped it around Bobby Joe's neck, strangling her to death, or she thought, and then Bobby Joe fell to the ground. She then pulled out a kitchen knife. This girl came prepared. She then pulled out a kitchen knife and started to cut open her stomach in order to remove the baby. Now, once she cut open her stomach, Bobby Joe came to, because newsflash, she wasn't dead, she was just passed out. At this point, Bobby Joe started fighting for her life, literally. She was fighting hard. There was all types of signs that Bobby Joe put up a fight. She had defensive wounds on her hands and arms. She had Lisa's DNA underneath her nails from scratching her. And she also had a clump of Lisa's hair in her hand. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and Lisa did overpower Bobby Joe, and she stabbed her to death. At that point, Lisa took the baby out of Bobby Joe's stomach, cut the umbilical cord, and she left. She called her husband, and bling bling, hey babe, guess what? I had the baby. Yeah, can you come meet me at this Long John Silver? And then blase, 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 back to, you know what happens there. Lisa was all types of delusional. We already know that by now. She had a lot of mental health issues. She and her husband took the baby around town and was telling everyone that Lisa had the baby and showing off the baby, you know, just acting like they were going to be just this big, happy little family. So when the police came to her home, her whole story fell apart. She was arrested and charged with kidnapping, resulting a death. And if convicted, Lisa could spend life in jail or the death penalty. As you can imagine, this case was heavy in the media, and it caught media attention just very fast. And really, The trial mirrored her life. It was a train wreck. To make a long story short, originally she had 3 attorneys on her case. They didn't get along. It was a lot of sexism, misogyny, and all that going on with the attorneys. And 2 of the attorneys fell off. She was left with 1 attorney. He was horrible and he did not represent Lisa well. Now, I'm not saying that what she went through in her childhood or even growing up as an adult was an excuse on what she did. However, we do know that a lot of times things that you go through in your childhood can affect you and how you think, and just, you know. When you hear about what the hell she went through, it makes sense that she was off her, and that she had some issues going on. That's all I'm saying. Now, her attorney only visited her 3 times in prison. His original plan was to say that Lisa's brother, Tommy, had actually murdered Bobby Joe and given Lisa the baby. However, he had to abandon that plan. Now, let's keep in mind, he was going forward with this plan a week up into the trial, but he had to abandon this plan because Lisa's family was not on board, and also her brother had a airtight alibi. We obviously know that that wasn't the case. So due to that reason, Lisa's family refused to testify on her behalf in regards to her childhood, her abuse, and anything that happened to her growing up as a child. Her family just wasn't shit, basically. As a whole, they wasn't what, nope. Lisa was seen by a professional psychiatrist and multiple other doctors, and she was diagnosed with PTSD and borderline personality disorder and major permanent brain damage, which you can imagine. And also, I forgot the name. I don't know how to pronounce it. Basically, it's a psychosis where you think that you're pregnant. They said she had that as well. So with just all of those mental health issues and mental illnesses, you would think that her attorney would present that in court. However, he did none of the above. And prosecutors, they just went in on Lisa. They painted a picture of her just being this horrible mother, this unstable woman, the fact that she just liked being pregnant, but she didn't take care of her kids. Her house was dirty, she was dirty, her kids was dirty, just everything was filthy. They said that the abuse that she went through with her stepdad, that it wasn't abuse. She was a willing participant in the matter, and she consented to it, and it was consensual. Like, what the WTF? Because how? So really, with all of that happening, it was no shock when the jury came back and convicted her and found her guilty. I wasn't shocked at all. Would you have been shocked? So after they convicted her of being guilty, the judge did sentence her to death. So instantly, Lisa got her a new attorney, and this attorney actually gave a fuck about her. And they just started doing all the investigative work that should have been done in the first case. And that's when it was uncovered about all of her mental health issues, all of the abuse that happened in her childhood. Now, they put in appeal after appeal after appeal. They even tried to get a stay of execution and everything. And I'm not going to go into all those details because there was a lot of political stuff happening, because this all was taking place around the election period from, Donald Trump and Joe Biden going against one another. So it was a lot of political stuff as well going on at this time. And I'm not going to get into all that because we already lived it. However, all of her appeals were denied, and her stay of execution denied, all of that. Clemency, whatever you want to call it, all that denied. So on January 13, 2001, Lisa Montgomery was executed by a lethal injection at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana. When asked if she had any last words, she said no, and she was pronounced dead at 1:31 a.m. That was my story for today. What did you guys think about that? Sorry, I was just sitting here, y'all. I didn't think I was gonna get done cooking this as soon as possible. What it was is that your girl forgot her bell peppers. So I was able to cut up my peppers and add it to it because I forgot them. So that probably took off like a good, you know, few little minutes. However, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I will do better and I will put the recipe down below. So if you want to try this recipe out, definitely do so. Make sure that you like, comment, and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you haven't already done so. And until next time, bye.